Okay, so we're going to talk about how to calculate a correlation coefficient. So I brought back up our slide that had our formula. And again, we're going to be working with this quote unquote shortcut down here at the bottom. It looks a little uglier, but as we've seen in some of the other videos where we're doing calculations by hand, this is a little bit easier to process and go through. I will say that I'm seeing one error on here. This should say, should have the same sigma notation inside there. I do have it written over here on my board correctly. So here is our formula. In here is going to be the number of data point pairs that we have. Here we're going to be multiplying X and Y together, and then we're going to need to total that up. Here I need the total of my X's. Here's the total of my Y's. Big fraction bar. I have the square root. This is n. And I'm totaling my X squares. And then I have the total of my X's squared. Again, I've already gonna have found that one's up here, so we're just utilizing it again. I have another square root, and I've got, again, n is the number of data points. I have the total of my Y squareds, and then I have the total of my Y's, which again, we would have already found, squared. So I'm gonna show you how to do this with a table, okay, and utilize a table to help us out here. So taking a look, and these are from the worksheets that I have. So we've got 6, 1, 4, 7, and 3 for my X's. Their associated partners are 2, 4, 1, 7, and 6. Okay. Now I'm going to create the other tables, columns that I'm going to need. So I'm going to need an X squared column. So we'll go ahead and create that. So 6 squared is 36, 1 squared is 1, 4 squared is 16, 7 squared is 49, and 3 squared is 9. I'm going to need a Y squared column. So 2 squared is 4, 4 squared is 16, 1 squared is 1, 7 squared is 49, and 6 squared is 36. And then I'm also going to need an XY column where I'm multiplying them together. So I've got 6 times 2 is 12. So I'm going to show where I'm doing this first time. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 times 7 is 49. And 3 times 6 is 18. Now, I am going to need, because all of those items, everywhere that I had them show up in my formula, need to be totaled. So we're going to now find a total for each of these. So 10 over 10, that's going to be 21 for my X's. I've got 10, 17, 20 for my Y's. Here I've got 10, 46. 111 for that one. Here I've got 20 and 50 is 20 and 50 is 70 and 36 is 106. And then 12 and 18 is 30, 79, 87 for that one. Okay, so now I've got all my totals. So now I'm going to work with my formula, and I have n is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So n is going to be 5. So now calculations. I've got 5. I need the total of my XY column, which is 87, minus the total of my X's, which is 21, the total of my Y's, which is 20, over, and then I have square root n again, which was 5. I need the total of my X squareds, which is 111, minus the total of my X's, which is 21 squared, and then I have another square root, and it's n, and it's the total of my Y squared, which is 106, minus the total of my Y's, which is 20 squared. Now, what I'm fixing to do is all of my little multiplication or squaring pieces. So 5 times 87 is 435. 21 times 20 is 420. I'm going to have 555 minus 441. And then I'm going to have 530 minus 400. Okay. And again, I'm just going to do all my little subtraction pieces. So I have 15 over the square root of 114, square root of 130. We're now going to, we'll put this on a calculator, okay? And we get that this is 0.1232. Now, going back to what this tells me. Number one, this is positive. So these values were positively associated, meaning they were going up a hill when they did this. Now, it is a weak association, okay, because this number is quite low. At 0.1, we are not really getting a whole lot of anything off of that, okay? So it is not a very strong connection there, okay? Now, looking at the next one, and this one does not need a formula. This is just, they want us to decide what we think the association would be. So we have the number of hours a student studies in the past 24 hours. And then we want to associate that with the number of hours sleeping in the past 24 hours, okay? Now, because they're putting us on a definitive 24-hour setup here, we only have a set number. Now, if we're gonna put studying down here, and we'll put sleeping over here, okay? If I only spend an hour studying, okay, so I spend 1 hour studying, then I could spend lots of time sleeping. Not necessarily saying that we would, but we could. Whereas if I spent 8 hours sleeping or 8 hours studying, I would have less time to actually be able to sleep. If I spent 16 hours studying, I would have even less time. So the concept being here is that the more I study, the less hours that are available to sleep. This would be negatively associated. Okay, so this would be negatively associated. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about how to put this onto a calculator. Okay.